You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Is your pet stressed out? Does your pet need annual vaccines? Which pet is best for a child? Would you know if your dog was in pain? Pet Life Radio presents The Pet Doctor, where you'll learn everything about keeping your pet healthy and happy. From pet care, pet meds and grooming, to pet food, pet insurance, and dental care, this is the place to find out everything there is to know about pet wellness. Whether you have a dog, cat, reptile, or rabbit, you'll find answers for your pets straight from the vets, because it's your pet. Health matters. Please welcome your Pet Doctor host, veterinary media consultant and veterinarian, Dr. Bernadine Cruz.
Travel a few minutes south of San Diego, California, and you'll find a distressingly large number of people and pets trying to scratch out a meager living in Tijuana, Mexico. Dogs and cats often have to fend for themselves, searching for bits of food wherever they can find it. Tragically, pet overpopulation is kept in check by unnecessarily short lifespans. Lives cut short due to lack of routine medical care. Thanks to the efforts of a band of volunteers, the Humane Society of Tijuana is improving the lives of pets and people in some of the poorest sections of this border town. Today's guest is Richard Massa. He is the president of the Friends of the Humane Society of Tijuana. We'll be right back with Mr. Massa after this short break.
Please have a seat in the waiting room. The doctor will be with you shortly, right after these messages.
Greetings, human. What planet am I on?
Welcome to Pet Planet. Here's a copy of Pet Planet Magazine, Florida's most informative and fun pet resource magazine. It features heartwarming stories and informative articles from local and national pet experts.
Excellent.
Pet Planet Magazine offers Operation Planet Rescue, helping rescued pets find new homes. And it's available at 500 locations in South and Central Florida and 24/7 on the internet at petplanetmagazine.com. If you're out and about with your pet, you may be featured in Paparazzi, candid pictures of you and your pet. For up-to-date pet-friendly events, activities, and pet-related services and products, Pet Planet Magazine is your final destination.
I shall take this magazine home with me.
Back to your home planet?
No, to my condo in Boca.
Pet Planet Magazine. Check them out at www.petplanetmagazine.com or 352-394-8578. It's out of this world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pet Life Radio proudly presents DSPN, the Dog Sports and Performance Network. Get ready to unleash the dog sports enthusiast in all of us, from speed drawing and mushing to racing, agility, and competition. This is the place to learn all about the dog sports and activities that you can do with your furry best friend and canine competitor. So get ready for game time. DSPN with your host, Lori Williams, every week on demand. Only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Welcome back to the Pet Doctor on Pet Life Radio with Dr. Bernadine Cruz. The doctor is in, and we'll see you now.
Mr. Massa, thank you so much for being with us. I've had the pleasure of knowing of the Humane Society of Tijuana for several years now, and every time I get your emails of what you're doing, the great help that you're giving to pets and people, it's fantastic. I think it's great.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be back with you again. I welcome the opportunity to be able to spread the word about our work. So your kind words are appreciated.
How did the Humane Society of Tijuana come about, and when?
Yes, there have been a core of people here in Tijuana. I've been living in Tijuana for 5 years, and 5 years back I had occasion to meet a very dynamic lady who had been doing volunteer work and also just operating as an independent rescuer. And if I can make a long story short, she and I sort of formed an informal organization, and encouraged other people to work with us. But over time, we recognized that it was necessary to actually establish a comprehensive humane society. And we eventually received approval from the Mexican government to form a nonprofit organization in Mexico, which of course is called the Humane Society of Tijuana. It's comprised of right now about 30 volunteers spread over this huge metropolitan area of about 1.4 million people. And our initial focus, of course, was on rescues. And while street rescues are noble in themselves, they really are not the solution to the overpopulation of pets. And it really doesn't help solve the problem of the street animals. So, of course, we formed a corps of volunteer Mexican vets and initiated low-cost and free spay and neuter clinics. And from there, we progressed into offering street clinics in the poorest areas of Tijuana, whereby we have a mobile setup, tents and vans, and offer some very, very basic services to the animals that have never, ever seen a veterinarian.
I'm looking at one of the brochures that has been put out by the Humane Society of Tijuana, and you see these people with their pets, and I think sometimes people might think, oh, they just don't care. You can tell that these people care just as much as any American counterpart dog or cat owner for these animals, but sometimes just don't have the funds. Could you give us an idea of, in some of these very poor areas, what would be the average income for a family with one of these pets?
You're not going to believe this, but some of those people are living on what would be the equivalent of $5 American a day. And a lot of these people, incidentally, a lot of these people barely have enough to feed their families, but will also take in street animals. And that's what we find interesting. But getting back to your question, it's not only a situation where the individuals lack recourses to obtain veterinary service for their animals. It's a question that they lack a lot of education, because many of the things that we see are actually preventable and really would not have required the services of a professional veterinarian. So therefore, we are trying to educate one-on-one at the street clinics. And the encouraging thing is, very encouraging for us, most of the people coming to the street clinics are younger people. A lot of children, unaccompanied by adults, are not only bringing some of their pets, but street animals that are sort of living in the neighborhood and on the streets, those that are friendly enough for the children to handle. And they actually seek attention for these animals as well as their pets, which brings me to the idea, or gave me the idea, that we really needed to redefine a street rescue. I'll explain that in a minute, but it has to do with our not having a shelter.
And I think that's what people would be amazed. You don't have a shelter. You oftentimes are having your volunteers taking these animals into their own homes.
That's correct. And, of course, not having the shelter, we were already focusing on spay and neuter clinics. And we initiated the street clinics about a year ago, where we go into these poorest neighborhoods and provide very, very basic services like deworming and treating for mange and treating for minor infections and teaching the people about nutrition and hygiene and how to prevent some of these problems, and also how to prevent problems of cross-contamination so that they can protect their family. But while doing this, we really redefined street rescue, realizing that we didn't have a shelter. We had to, through education and example, show the individuals that after a minimum amount of treatment, many of these animals were safe enough to be able to approach the members of the family And after we had treated them for parasites, for mange, malnutrition, the individuals saw that the animals were healthier. They were no longer threatened, and they began to adopt them. Not necessarily a family one-on-one, but a neighborhood would adopt a street animal, this animal.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is, you see or you have this image in your mind of a mangy animal, scratch, scratch, scratch.
Right.
And that mange, this type that you oftentimes find in Tijuana or some of these poorly malnutritioned animals, is going to be a type that is contagious to people, known as scabies. And you've actually been able to make a difference for these people that are having contact with the animals as well as the animals.
Yes, no doubt about it. And in fact, with some of the medications that we have today, which are relatively cheap, we see results. After an injection, we'll do a follow-up in that neighborhood 3 weeks later for follow-up for the animals, and notice that there's a remarkable improvement. And many of the people will say to us, "Oh, well, this animal really looks good, and nobody is stoning it or throwing water on it, and we're allowing it, to come around." Well, we begin to consider this as a rescue, because we just do not have the resources to rescue all these animals, because we don't have a shelter, so there's no place to put them. We have to provide a safe place where they already exist. And then the ultimate goal is for those individuals to bring that animal to our spay and neuter clinic. That's what I mean by redefining a rescue. Our definition of a rescue is not necessarily removing the animal from the street, putting it in a shelter. We don't have the resource to do that. So the redefinition here has to do with our treating the animal at the street clinics. We are now in 5 different colonias. We rotate every month. We go to these colonias. The people are getting to know us. We have publicity in the community a few days before we arrive. By the time we get there, there's usually a long line, and we get to know the animals. The people are becoming educated to know that they have to do follow-up with the animals, and that follow-up is not only to bring them to the street clinic, but as soon as the animal is well enough, and we evaluate them, of course, to bring them to the next spay and neuter clinic. And that's what I'm talking about, redefining rescue. It's not a rescue where the animal is placed in a shelter and then for adoption. It's where we can assist the animal and the people, the owners or the rescuers, so that animal is no longer a threat to the community and more or less has been adopted by a family or a neighborhood.
Well, Mr. Massa, if you don't have a shelter, where are you doing these neuters, spay and neuters?
We have mobile setup. We have a lot of equipment, and we set up a mesh-style hospital, just like the military sets it up. We use various community centers. Some of the centers are actually privately owned, and we do have to pay a small fee to use them. Others we are offered to us for free. And we go to the colonias. We have 4 vans of equipment. We set up the operating room, recovery room, reception, and we are getting quite adept at handling anywhere from 35 to 50-some animals at any one of the spay and neuter clinics. So it's a mesh operation. And we have Mexican veterinarians who volunteer, and we have American veterinarians who come on a regular basis once a month for the spay and neuter clinic, which we also rotate through 5 colonias in Tijuana.
Well, it sounds that these have fantastic services. You're giving education, you're treating for parasites, you're spaying and neutering, and you're talking about these very poor colonias, people having very little money, $5 a day is what they're living on. So how are they paying for these services? How are you paying for the services?
Well, to the good graces of our donors, because we do not actually get a lot of donations from Mexico. I mean, the culture is not yet such that animal welfare has a high priority, and that's another thing that we hope to change through education. So we really do depend on our donors, and most of those donors are really American donors. And we do have a few from other countries, but we do not have a large donor base. If I may digress, here's something that's very interesting. We do not have a great influx of donations coming from Mexico. But when we set up these clinics, these street clinics, many times the poorest of the poor will offer a few pesos. Can you believe that?
That's
1
marvelous.
peso,
It shows
2
they
pesos,
care.
10 cents, 20 cents. And we accept it. We do accept it because they feel, and rightly so, that they are contributing, and they see this as a method of cooperation. And it's the poorest of the poor.
They really do care, and that is marvelous. What are some of your goals for next year, 2009? If you had the little magic genie that could grant the Humane Society of Tijuana, what is your wish?
Well, as you know, we made great strides this last year because we formed an American counterpart organization, which we call Friends of the Humane Society of Tijuana. And that organization really focuses on fundraising and supporting the programs in Mexico. So we actually have two sets of goals. We have a set of goals for our American organization, which, by the way, is an American Internal Revenue Service approved, IRS approved 501c3 charity. So donations are tax deductible. And we have set a goal to have more community fundraising activities and to make contact with more American volunteers, both professionals such as veterinarians and vet techs, as well as lay people, to rotate their service so that we have small groups of them coming over for any one of the clinics, and that gives us a constant pool of American volunteers. For the Humane Society of Tijuana, our main goal for the next year is to try to increase the number of spay and neuter clinics. As you well know, the only solution to the overpopulation of animals is spay and neuter. You know, street rescues are noble, and we do them, but street rescues will not solve the problem. We need to do the rescues, but we need to focus on educating the people to spay and neuter the pets. So we want to increase the number of spay and neuter clinics. Now, for people who do have recourses, the middle class in Mexico, we ask them to consider contributing to part of the cost for the sutures and the anesthesia, which we ask for them to consider a very small donation to cover that cost, which is no more than $15 American. But most of the people, the poorest of the poor, of course, that's for free. We, thanks to our donors, were able to spay and neuter for free.
So if somebody is listening right now and they were to live close to San Diego, they could contact whom and volunteer. But if somebody is listening that's in New York City and wants to donate because they go, yes, I want to help these people who are trying to improve the quality of life for these street animals and for their own pets, well, who can they contact? Where should they go?
Yeah, they can contact me directly, and there's always somebody monitoring the voicemail, and we do return all of the calls. And even though we're in Mexico, it's an American phone number that they can call. It's 619-922-3394. And all of those calls will be returned. The other thing is we encourage people to go online, and it's www.hstj.org. Or you could just in the browser of your internet browser, just check for Humane Society of Tijuana, and there will be several links there.
Well, Mr. Massa, you have just been doing marvelous things for some very deserving people and pets. I really tip my hat to you, wish you the best of luck, and hopefully people listening right now to the Pet Doctor on PetLifeRadio.com will be moved to Want to Help. Sending money is a great way. If you're close by and you can volunteer your time, they can use you. I'm sure even if you can't speak Spanish, they'll put you to work and have a job for you. So, Mr. Massa, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with you. It's a real pleasure. It's been a while since we spoke, but it's great to be in contact with you constantly, and I certainly enjoy your comments and your suggestions. You've been a great help to us as a consultant.
My pleasure. And all this information, if you didn't catch the website or you didn't catch the phone number, it will be on the Pet Doctor's website, and you can go there, get the numbers, and then you can give the Humane Society of Tijuana a call. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Please have a seat in the waiting room. The doctor will be with you shortly, right after these messages.
Got questions about your hound's health? Need the facts on Fido's fitness or food? You want to unleash your pup's potential? Well, you've come to the right place with Win with Dogs. Here, we learn how easy it is to naturally improve the lives of our furry friends. So sit, stay, and get ready to win with dogs. With me, Raquel Wynn. Exercise, nutrition, interaction, and love make for one healthy, happy hound. Give yourself the gift of knowledge on demand every week right here at Pet Life Radio with me, Raquel Wynn, and Win with Dogs.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Welcome back to the Pet Doctor on Pet Life Radio with Dr. Bernadine Cruz. The doctor is in, and we'll see you now.
Well, it's almost Christmas, and we know that our pets are definitely part of the family. And being such, we want to have them involved. We want them to have the joy of Christmas, Hanukkah, if it's Hanukkah for you, whatever you celebrate. But sometimes we need to have some special precautions in place, or you're going to be spending your time at the emergency clinic versus that happy time at home. There are some safety tips that you can put into place now and really throughout the year. At the holidays, as people are coming in and out and having a great time, even if you have an indoor pet who never would think of going outside, the hustle and bustle can sometimes be a little bit disconcerting. So you want to make sure that your pets always have some type of identification that on their little bodies. If you have a cat, I own 2 cats, and I get concerned they're indoor kitties getting caught on something and hanging themselves on their collar. That's not what we want. We want to hang our stockings by the fireplace, not our cats. So make sure you have these special safety collars for your kitties. A safety collar is one that typically has a latch that if you put enough pressure, like a cat getting caught on their collar, it will pop open. I personally don't like the belt buckle type of a collar because if a cat gets stuck, or a dog, they're not going to be able to get out of it. They can get themselves hung. I don't like the ones that have the little elastic in the collars because they seem to get out of those in 2 seconds. So have a collar on your pet with a name tag. Periodically check it because your cat or dog's weight may go up or down. That collar may be getting too snug if your pet is growing up in size or just put on a couple of pounds, or if it's lost some weight, it can get too loose and cause a safety issue. So check those collars periodically. People will say, so if it's totally an indoor cat, why do I need to have a collar? Because earthquakes, fires, floods, craziness happens, your pet gets out. Even though it may know its name, it's scared. It's not going to be coming to you. Or if there's a disaster, you may not be able to get to it for an extended period of time. And it could end up in a shelter that is miles away from you are. So collars, name tags, and a great backup for this is having a microchip implanted in your pet. If you're wondering what to get that pet for that holiday gift, try something like a microchip. It's not as much fun as a special new bone or a new cat bowl or a fancy little collar, but it can help save their life. If you're going to be having a Christmas tree, for instance, You can always tell those people that have new puppies and kittens in the house because all the decorations seem to be at the high end of that tree so the pet can't get into it. That's a good thing to do. It's a safety issue. You may even want to tether your tree to the wall so your cat or dog doesn't go, wow, this is really neat. You brought the outdoors in. I think I'll crawl up the middle of it. And in the middle of the night, it's not uncommon to hear that crash and bang. So securing your tree to the wall is a very good idea. Being careful with electrical cords. We have lights all over the place. We have Christmas lights. We have other things that are plugged in. And that pup and cat who periodically would never think of chewing on something right now goes, that looks like a good chew toy. Let me go ahead and nibble on that. So yes, you can have an electrocuted pet, a time that you need to run into that emergency clinic. And how would you know if your pet had been chewing on something and you just find it lying there? One of the things that you can do is open the mouth. Look to see if there are burn marks on the top of the roof of the mouth or on the tongue or on the lips. You may not see the cat or the dog next to that electrical cord. It might have just kind of stumbled away from the area and collapsed. That can be one of the signs. Since we're talking about emergency clinics, make sure next to your phone you always have the number for your local emergency clinic. You know how to get there. Have the number for your daytime veterinary hospital, so if you need to, you can immediately call them. Also having a number for the poison control. Now, you don't want to call the human poison control. That is for people. In an emergency, you don't want to call 911. You may want to, but you can't. That is for people. But having the number for the ASPCA, Animal Poison Control, by your phone, in your cell phone, is a great idea. That particular number, you can find it online, but you can also write it down now if you have a moment. That number is 888-426-4435. Again, 888-426-4435. This is a number that is manned 24/7. It is meant only for animals. They have on hand board-certified veterinary toxicologists, people who know animals, know these various drugs that they may get into, know how it affects an animal, how poison can affect an animal. Now, there is a fee for it. It is a $60 fee for the service. But, for instance, you call, you say, okay, my pet just got into a box of chocolate candy. What do? They will immediately give you some information. They will set up a case number. Then when you take your pet, if you need to your regular primary care veterinarian, you can then access that case number and there's no additional fee for the ongoing care. So that is a fantastic number to have in your cell phone, next to your phone, so if you ever need it, it's there. One of the toxins that people hear about so much during the Christmas Day holidays is going to be poinsettia plants. Oh, everybody knows poinsettias are toxic. They really are ones that cause more of a stomach upset than really being toxic to the point of killing a pet. But one of the things as our seasons will progress and we get into the Easter season, lily plants are ones that are extremely toxic. Those are things that cats, if they chew just a small amount of the leaf or the petals itself, can cause irreversible kidney damage. So spend some time. Ask your veterinarian what are some toxic plants, what are things to avoid. We know that we want to stay away from the chocolate. We know we want to stay away from holly. And a lot of people don't realize staying away from that water in the bottom of your Christmas tree stand. Your cat or dog may go, hey, thanks, I have a new cat bowl and this is pretty good, or a dog has a new dog bowl. That water oftentimes will have preservatives for the tree. It can get moldy. It can cause an upset stomach. Vomiting, diarrhea all over your Christmas presents is not something that is really going to be a lot of fun. So keep your pets away from these areas. Other things that you may want to do is dogs tend to eat first, think later. So Christmas balls, those nice little glass ones, can act like shards of glass going through the intestinal tract. Another reason to keep it up, keep it out of the way. Different toys that you may think of getting for your pet during the holidays, check them out. Make sure that it's safe. You want to make sure that if it has little squeakies inside, that your pet doesn't rip it apart and swallow the squeaky, or that little eyes, noses, or small parts can't come off and be swallowed. Some of these things may show up on x-rays. Some of them don't. Even a pet that decides to tear apart its new stuffed animal pet and ingest all that stuffing can cause obstructions in the intestinal tract. So holidays should be a great time for the entire family, our pets included. So take a little time, think ahead, make sure that you pet-proof that house so the entire holiday season is a great one that you spend at home and not at the emergency clinic. Well, hopefully this has given you some ideas of how you can protect your pets, because the goal of the show is always to entertain, educate, and to motivate you to be the best pet owner that you can be. Please tune in next week where we'll have some more information for you, hopefully a little bit of entertainment at the same time. Have yourself a great one. Thanks for listening. This is Dr. Bernadine Cruz. You've been listening to The Pet Doctor on Pet Life Radio, and I want to thank my fantastic producer, Mark Winter, for all his help. Bye-bye.
Pets can be a wonderful addition to your life. Keeping them healthy and happy is important. Pet Life Radio presents The Pet Doctor with veterinary media consultant and veterinarian Dr. Bernadine Cruz. Whether you have a dog, cat, reptile, or rabbit, you'll find answers for your pets straight from the vets. The Pet Doctor, on demand every week, only on PetLifeRadio.com.